What if I told you that one of America's most beloved brand mascots almost never existed? Before he was giggling his way into our hearts, the Pillsbury Doughboy was just a crazy idea that almost got rejected. Yet this little Doughboy character ended up saving an entire company from disaster. In this video, we're diving into the wild history of the Pillsbury Doughboy, from his accidental creation to his early impact in the 1960s, his evolution over the years, and even surviving some serious controversies. You'll see how this cute little character became a pop culture legend and why his giggle has lasted over 50 years. But before we get into the good stuff, let's rewind to the past to see where Pillsbury was like without the Doughboy. And make sure to stick around until the end because I'm saving the best and most unbelievable facts for the end. In the 1960s, before the Doughboy existed, Pillsbury was struggling to grow their customer base. They were basically just another boring old flour company. No identity, no mascots, no face for their products. And they were getting destroyed by big brands like Betty Crocker and General Mills. At the time, people were shifting towards convenience foods like cake mixes and pre-made dough. Pillsbury tried launching some new products to keep up, like quick bake rolls and biscuit doughs, but it wasn't enough. They needed to shake things up with something that would blow everyone's mind and turn Pillsbury into a household name. So what do? They called in the big guns, one of the most powerful ad agencies in the world, Leo Burnett. But what happened next wasn't your typical success story. It was a combination of interesting moments that led to the creation of the Pillsbury Doughboy. Keep watching to find out what happens next. In 1965, Rudy Perz, a copywriter at Leo Burnett Agency, had a brilliant idea. While sitting in his kitchen table, he thought about how dough pops out of the can when opened. He imagined, what if a little doughy character could pop out and come to life? And that's how Pop and Fresh, later renamed as Pillsbury Doughboy, was born. Rudy Perz worked with a designer to help Pillsbury Doughboy take shape. The designer worried that the character might resemble Casper the Friendly Ghost, but they fixed that after several redesigns. To bring the Doughboy to life, they partnered with Cascade Studios in Los Angeles to use stop-motion clay animation. It took 24 shots for every 1 second of commercial time. The initial Doughboy model was very expensive and cost $16,000 to develop, and that was in the 60s. And they created several heads with different positions to make sure that they have several shots to shoot him. In addition to his cute appearance, they needed a memorable voice to match his personality. Pillsbury auditioned over 50 actors for the voiceover, including some big names like Paul Winchell, the voice behind Tigger from Winnie the Pooh.
Like I threw in one day that, well, TTFN, ta-ta for now. TTFN, ta-ta for now.
They passed on him and ultimately went with Paul Frees. Paul also lended his voice to Donald Duck's uncle,
I was wondering where I put that thing. Oh, look at that pickle. This is a real dilly.
the Russian spy in The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle,
Thinking, but the worst I come up with is helping to make Moose and Squirrel show.
and he also lent his voice to the chilling ghost host in Disney's Haunted Mansion ride.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion.
With the character designed and his voice recorded, the Pillsbury Doughboy was all set to make his debut to the public. But how were people going to respond to him? And what did Pillsbury do to make sure he connected with families? Find out next. When the Doughboy finally hit TV screens in November 1965, people went nuts. Families tuned in just to see him giggle. Pillsbury sales skyrocketed.
Says it's best. Now for those cookies.
These look good. You're wonderful.
Just 3 years after his debut, the Doughboy had an 87% recognition factor among consumers. There was a time when Pillsbury was receiving 1,500 requests for autographed photos and receiving 200 fan letters a week. Pillsbury quickly realized that they had something special, and they decided to go all in. They didn't just make the Doughboy the face of the brand, they turned him into a household name with new merchandise like Doughboy-themed bakeware, cookie jars, plush toys, alarm clocks, and even produced a limited edition piggy bank, which sold out in a few days. The Doughboy's popularity soared beyond anything Pillsbury had anticipated. But what made him so appealing? Yes, he was cute, but he also was a personality that people felt they could invite into their homes. In commercials, they showed him helping families baking in their kitchens and tapping into the warmth and comfort of home-cooked meals. But as successful as he was, the journey wasn't without several controversies. We'll get into that soon, but first let's talk about how he evolved over the years. Over the decade, he appeared over 100 commercials, and Doughboy went through a major glow-up.
Flavored crescents, fresh and hot, and Pillsbury says it.
In the 70s, he got even bigger and more expressive. He started showing up in more adventurous settings like camping trips and family picnics. Pillsbury decided to expand the Doughboy's reach even further, using him to promote new products like breadsticks, croissants, and brownie mixes.
Into the microwave. 5 minutes.
Moist, chewy brownies anytime. Right, Timmy?
What, Bubby?
And hey, all you gotta clean up is Timmy.
New refrigerator ready to microwave fudge brownies. Here, in the dairy case.
By the 90s, Pillsbury switched from the old clay model to CGI, making the Doughboy move smoother, dance cooler, and poke his belly with more energy. He was even grooving along to music in commercials. The Doughboy became a cultural icon. He showed up in The Simpsons, was parodied on Family Guy, and even got featured in Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. But like all good things, his popularity wasn't immune to controversy, one that almost led to his retirement. First, there's the backlash over health concerns. In the early 2000s, people started calling out the Doughboy for promoting processed foods that were high in sugar and fat. Critics argued that the Doughboy was a bad influence on kids' eating habits. This pushed Pillsbury to rework their image and start talking more about healthier baking options and healthier treats. But that's not all. In 2010, Pillsbury went after a tiny bakery in California called My Dough Girl. They sued them, saying the name and logo were way too similar to the Doughboy. People thought it was a case of big corporate bullying, and the bakery had to change its name to Ruby Snap. That sparked a lot of backlash against Pillsbury. And here's where things get really controversial. In 2020, the Doughboy found himself at the center of a global human rights debate. Pillsbury was operating a factory in an Israeli settlement in the occupied West Bank, which is considered illegal under the international law. Activists argued that Pillsbury's presence there was supporting the displacement of Palestinian communities. It got so intense that activists launched a boycott campaign to get the Pillsbury out of the region. After facing so much backlash, you'd think the Doughboy story would end there, but no, there are still several interesting and hilarious stories that you haven't heard yet. But first, let's talk about how he stayed relevant and kept his spot as one of America's favorite and most successful ad mascots. Today, our little doughy friend is still popping up in commercials, active in social media, and collaborating with food bloggers. While other older mascots have faded into yesterday, the Doughboy has continued to stay relevant by staying true to his core message of joy and warmth. The Doughboy has appeared in over 600 commercials since his debut, making him one of the most longest running and most successful brand mascots in history. When it comes to the Pillsbury Doughboy, there's so many good stories and interesting facts, and of course I can't fit everything in this video. So I decided to make a short list of the 5 most interesting facts that the public really doesn't know anything about. And the last fact is probably my favorite out of this whole video. So let's dive deep into 5 of the most interesting facts about Pillsbury Doughboy. The Doughboy has an entire family, including his wife, Poppy Fresh, their children, Popper and Bun Bun, a dog named Flapjack, and a cat named Biscuit. They were introduced in the 1970s to expand the character's universe. In the 1980s, the Doughboy started in commercials around the world, including France and Germany, where he picked up a French and German accent for the ads.
Bonjour, je suis Pillsbury. Je vais vous raconter comment faire chez vous mes petits pains au chocolat. Prenez la boîte, ouvrez, déroulez.
The Doughboy was inducted into the Advertising Icon Hall of Fame in 2004, cementing his status as one of the most beloved and enduring mascots of all time, generating billions of dollars in revenue for Pillsbury. His creation and continued use in advertising is estimated to be worth billions of dollars in the lifetime of his brand. Now for my favorite one. In 2004, a fake obituary for the Doughboy went viral, saying he died of a yeast infection and complications from excessive poking. The obituary was complete with a fake eulogy and comments from other food mascots. It was a prank, but it showed how much people loved this guy because everybody was freaking out. The obituary was complete with details of his funeral that was attended by fellow mascots like the Pillsbury Doughboy's wife, Aunt Jemima, and the hostess Twinkie. So there you have it, the crazy history of the Pillsbury Doughboy. From a random Joe-inspired sketch to an unstoppable pop culture icon. So I'm curious to hear from everyone who watched this video. Do you love or hate Pillsbury Doughboy? After watching this video and learned so much about him, does it make you gain respect or not? And then also, I would love to hear what other ad mascots I should do another deep dive video on. So leave your suggestions in the comments. And make sure to subscribe, like, and follow and support. Thank you.